Take a moment to peek into the lives of inspirational people living the true definition of happiness with author, presenter, personal stylist and coach Moana Robinson, who chats to people who have overcome challenges to live their best life. Moana is a passion and purpose coach and a personal stylist who empowers others to discover their best life and style, regardless of age. Here is Moana.
Hi, Karina. Thank you so much for joining me today on Take a Moment. I really have been looking forward to this interview because you and your sister Sophie create such a beautiful space for women.
Thanks, Moana. It's a pleasure, of course, to be here and share this space with you. So, yeah, it's exciting.
What I might do is just ask you to introduce yourself, and if you can sort of tell me how Reclaim Her came about and a little bit about your history and any challenges that you may have had along the way, which is what we like to talk about on this show, is talking about challenges that women face, particularly sort of when they're over 40 and how they have overcome those challenges to live their best life.
Sure, no problem. Well, where to begin? So Reclaim Her was born from both Sophie and I having a shared experience. So it looked very different for both of us, but both of us found ourselves in a time when life was just a bit chaotic. So for Sophie, it was a significant car accident. And for me, it was, well, we pretty much lost everything. So we lost 3 houses, we lost our business, we nearly lost our marriage that held on by the skin of its teeth. So from my experience that time, basically we had I've got 2 businesses, and in my other business, basically we brought in a general manager while I had young children. So I only had 2 children at the time. I was 10 weeks off having my 3rd child, and we found out he hadn't paid tax for 2.5 years, had been calling the tax department pretending to be my husband, and had been doing all sorts of things. And overnight, we pretty much discovered we had lost everything. So we were in this $250,000 of debt, and everything was at risk. And I had a belly out here and 2 little babies and a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So that was clearly such a significant time. The tax department said very lovingly 4 days before Christmas, we're going to take all your nice things. So that was probably the low point of or one of the low points of that journey. But what I guess what it brought to mind, so obviously having a big journey like that, everything is put into view: relationship, family, security, business, how are we going to live? And we fought back, we paid all of our debts. But we ended up closing our business in 2010, and that was when things got even rockier, especially in our relationship. But around that time, I also did a year-long course that was all about creating and intuition and manifesting. And my big takeaway from that was that we can command our own intuition, that especially as women, my experience since then has been that especially as women, we've got this incredible guidance system that isn't just a gut feeling. We can literally use it to tune into anything. So that was a huge turning point for me. And while it took a few years to recover, and we did recover, relationship recovered as well. So while it took a while for us to recover, that journey really gave me the cornerstone of everything. That year taught me who I am, who I'm not, probably more importantly, who I'm not. It taught me how to consciously use my intuition. It taught me what was just deeply important to me. This course was very masculine in its focus. And for me, I just really came to realize that there was a better way for me. I couldn't grasp some of the concepts and say, this is what I truly believe in. So from there unfolded this personal journey for me about discovering and practicing my intuition, I've since taught my kids how to use it. They make decisions by it in different ways. I have taught thousands of women how to connect with their intuition. And beyond that, intuition really is just a tool, and beyond that is about living authentically. And I see this in the work that you do as well, that it's the story behind the woman, it's the woman connecting to her own truth. You know, I know you do your beautiful styling, and what I love about what you do is that you bring in that side of authenticity and that side of bringing the woman out so that she's finding what's true for her. And I guess my work is the same in a different field, in that it's about the woman connecting with what's true for her. And that's where Sophie and I kind of, to weave that story back together, that's where Sophie and I came and Reclaim Her was born, because she had the same journey through recovering from a car accident and living overseas as an expat wife. You know, that's really tricky to have your own life. And we realized that our stories, or our passions, I suppose, for the legacy that we want to create are really aligned, and that it's about, for me, that women are the change makers for the next generation. I truly believe, and I've never met a woman whose heart, when she really lives in an aligned way, that she doesn't bring more good, more love, and more beauty to our world. And for me, that is just, I've got 4 children. That legacy flows out. I want a heart-centered world for my children, and this is the work that I do with Sophie to really support women to do that. So that's where that passion point lies. And yep, it's been a lifelong journey, but losing everything really brings into perspective what you want, right? You know, I was forced to go, okay, well, what do I want? What do I want to build moving forward? And what was in my way that created that experience in the first place? And of course, there are many answers for that, largely childhood experiences, I think, and my own limiting beliefs, which work really hard to shift and change. But yes, so that's the story, and that's how Reclaim Her was born.
It's beautifully told too. I think once you almost lose everything, that's when you can sort of start to rebuild in the way that's important to you. And what a great base you're giving your family, your children, that experience so that they can then benefit from it and live authentically and trust their own intuition.
Yeah. If there's one thing I would love to give to my kids, it's that they can trust their journey and trust that, you know, who they are is who they need to be in order to create what they want and need, and what the world needs from them, really.
So I think a lot of people don't realize that everything we need is already inside ourselves.
Mm.
It's already there, and it's just learning how to tap into what is already inside ourselves. And it seems to be that's what you and Sophie, each in your own, because you've got separate businesses as well, haven't you, apart from Reclaim Her?
I have a second business, so
Yeah.
that's Acting Schools for Kids, which is all about creativity and expression and keeping that joy of play alive.
Mhm.
Sophie's key focus is here, but she has a huge passion for travel. So she spends a lot of her time traveling and having these beautiful adventures and really seeing the world and experiencing the world. And then she brings that experience back into the events that we create here
Wow.
at Reclaim Her as well.
You're so
So
lucky to have that built-in partnership already, to have it there.
incredible.
Yeah, and it's because sometimes it's quite lonely and quite a struggle doing something by yourself. But if you've got someone to bounce ideas off and brainstorm with, and it makes it fun as well. I really do believe that girls love having fun. That's the Tuesdays on Target group that we have. That's our theme song. Girls just want to
Yeah.
have.
Oh, well, that's good. Yes, absolutely. Look, I'm so truly blessed to have that, and for her to be my sister as well. Like, I know a lot of people don't have that close relationship with their siblings, but
Yeah.
I'm just so blessed that we just are so aligned. It's incredible, even though our passions are very different. So Sophie is very much focused on nourishment
Yeah.
and life and vitality and experiencing life, and really her belief is that a life filled with vitality is a life well lived, you know, that you can shape your life from that place of feeling resourced. So she spends a lot of time focusing on that, whereas mine is more, that's my learning edge. So she brings that and teaches that to me, and mine is much more about the physical, sorry, not the physical, but the emotional and the spiritual. So between us, we have those three things really well covered. So yeah, it's she learns from me, I learn from her, and we have a shared alignment, which is and a shared passion of just supporting women to live a life that feels true. And in particular, we've come together now. Sophie's 4 years older than me, so she's been saying, midlife, this is such a big transformation, but I kind of had to catch up. So um, now that I'm here, it's like, oh my goodness, this time of life is just so ripe with possibility and um, challenge as well, right? I think for all the women that I work with, and maybe you're the same, Moana, is that, this journey is about, there's a physical journey, there's an emotional journey, there's a reclaiming journey more than I ever anticipated. So it's so exciting to work in this space together as well.
It really does keep life fascinating. I was just saying to you before, the things that have gone on in my life over the last few months, you can never expect life to be perfect and just have all your ducks in a row so that you go on to the next thing and then the next thing. There are always going to be challenges, but I do believe that challenges can help you then to move on from that more enriched and stronger than before to create your best life.
It's so true. Well, that's my experience as well. I always see it as, an evolving spiral. It's like we have to revisit things sometimes but we do it at a higher level, at a more experienced level. And all those rough patches, like sandpaper, they help us evolve and push us along that path to becoming more of who we are if we choose to take the invitation, right?
Exactly. Is there anything in particular, like I believe that, the key to a really fulfilled life is someone to love, something meaningful to do, and you've got both of those two things with your family, and you've been through some tough times and you came out the other
Yep.
side. Something meaningful to do, you're definitely doing that. Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to?
Yes. So this year we launched a community called Reclaimed within the Reclaim Her space, and it's it's just been one of those things where I've been looking forward to this for about 10 years. It's been in my mind. I just wanted to create this beautiful online community where women can get what they need in order to move forward with no barrier. So it's like there's coaching, there's intuition, there's visioning, there's, all that beautiful stuff, appreciation. Sophie does nourishment. So I guess what I'm looking forward to most is the deepening of that community. So for me, it's a really rich space. I facilitate a lot of it. So I'm not necessarily on the receiving end unless I do Sophie's sessions. But the thing that I love most about it is that as it grows, the community deepens, the women weave a more connected and deeper space. I can watch their intuition just advance exponentially over just a few months. So for me, growing that is something that I'm really looking forward to in the business. Sophie's also bought a beautiful property this year and is building a studio on it. So we'll be able to do intimate retreats there. We did some this year, but the cyclone kind of accelerated the invitation to do the works on the property. From a professional perspective, that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And I suppose personally, um, my work is my evolving. So for me, when I look forward, a lot of what I talk about is legacy. I don't want to die with my song left unsung. That is the thing that has woken up in me more than ever in the last couple of years. So for me, doing this work is me singing my song. So I really look forward to expanding that, moving more into speaking. That's my personal growth challenge for the coming year is to do more of that forward-facing speaking and taking this message further out into the world.
You can see the passion shining out from you. You really are passionate, and you just blossom. I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but I've got the Feminescence folder, which is something that my friend Charmore starting overseas now. But
Yeah.
it is so true how powerful the feminine intuition is. And I think we have curiosity. There are a lot of benefits to being a woman, and all of those things like the curiosity, the intuition, just being able to build rapport with people, and just that like-minded gathering that you had the first time I met you. I was
Yeah.
very, very impressed with the way that you and Sophie held that event, and it was just a beautiful space.
It
So
was, yeah. And women coming together, I just, it's so rich, right? It's just the most beautiful, whether it's one-on-one like we're sharing here, or, whether it's in a small group, I just really, yeah, value that space and that connection that women weave together. And I think there's that power in being witnessed and witnessing, where we really get to see that other women experience the same things. I was just watching your podcast earlier this week with Karen
Aaron Clark,
Clark. Yeah,
yeah,
Karen Clark. And she just shared so vulnerably and openly, and what permission that just gives other women to really share their heart and to own their story with power. And that's the beauty of women coming together in the space that you're facilitating here as well. It's important for us to be honest and share openly so that we can let people know that this journey isn't easy and that we can do it, that there's another side and
exactly, and also and come out the other side.
come
Karen
out the other
is an
side.
amazing woman. She's the co-founder of Tuesdays on Target with me, and I just waited for her. I just waited for her time to be right to share that story. I knew her story, of course, but she just said, "It's time. I'm ready to be interviewed now." And I just think there are so many other women that have been through that same situation, and to show the strength that she showed to sort of stay in the business and to come out of it a businesswoman and come out of it living a life even better now.
Yeah.
Yes, same with you. And I really, really appreciate you taking a moment today. I'm going to put all your details at the foot of this podcast and also on YouTube. Is there any advice that you'd give to women who are maybe going through similar challenges to what you went through? How
Mhm.
how you sort of picked yourself up and moved on? Like, is there a piece of advice you'd give to women in that situation?
Yes, definitely. I would say, first and foremost, have compassion for yourself. That's really important because life is hard and it's messy and it doesn't mean anything about you if you're going through a rough time, except that you're powerful and you're strong and that you'll get through the other side. I truly believe that. Secondly, I would say there are stories that shape us as we are now, and we can take something really powerful from those stories, something positive and meaningful, whether they're stories from our childhood or our current stories.
Mhm.
So do the mining for that gold. Look for the gold. Look for what you're really meant to take forward from this that is powerful and positive and will serve you in really incredible ways moving forward, because it's there and it's important for us and it's important for our children and our communities that we do this hard work of doing that mining and looking for the gold. And the other thing I would say is that there are seasons. So some of our seasons look like we have to fight for ourselves right now, that we're in survival and that we need to get through survival, through that red zone that's really hard and challenging. Doesn't mean that we'll be there forever, but it does mean that maybe we have to make some choices that where our survival is most important, our families are most important. And there are seasons that are about claiming what we want, what is true for us, fighting for that if you need to, standing for that if you need to, um, loving yourself enough to gift that to yourself. That's probably more important than the fight. Like, focus on the self-love and to go, actually, I'm worth this because you are. And trust those seasons, and that your life is always guiding you forward, even when it feels like you're stuck, even when it feels like you're being dragged through the gravel. Life is always guiding you forward. And if you can hold that faith and hold yourself with love and compassion, you deserve it. And your life and the world will be better for it. That's what I would say.
Karina, that is so valuable and I really appreciate it. Look forward to sharing this with everyone. Do you do Zoom calls or face-to-face?
Yes, and we do workshops, and Reclaimed is a really great starting point for people. So yes, I do one-to-one coaching and year-long programs as well for that really deep one-to-one work. And Reclaimed is also a really great place to start. It's an affordable group coaching community with an incredible group of women. So both those places are perfect to start depending on where you're at in your journey.
Thank you so much, Karina.
Thanks, Moana. You too. Thank you. I feel really blessed to have been here and appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to Take a Moment with Moana Robinson. Remember to visit her website, bestyledforlife.com.au, and book a time for a further conversation.